Hey everyone, welcome to the support show. My name is Fleming, and today I'm going to give you a few tips on how to oil your machine. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this on my Shapeoko Pro XL, but this information is pretty universal across most of our machinery. So, I'm going to demonstrate how to oil my X-axis, my Y-axis, and my Z-axis. My machine has two different styles of bearings. I have MGN 15 bearings, which are a little bit slimmer and do not have an oil port. These are on my X and my Y axis. I also have these larger HG 15 linear bearings on my Z axis. You can tell they're a bit chunkier, and they have this screw in the center. Now, for all of our machines that have ball screws, linear rails, and linear bearings, we recommend using Mobile Vactra number 2. We do have this included in a maintenance kit, which you can find in our store. When it comes to lead screws, not ball screws, we recommend using Super Lube. This stuff is very easy to find in all different sizes. I must confess, I have never lubricated this machine. So I'm going to take a couple extra steps here to make sure it's really worked into those bearings. First, I'm going to take the belts off my X and my Y axis. This will help me move the carriages around back and forth without generating any power back to my controller. As I was about to oil my rails, I noticed that there is a little bit of rust, which is totally not a problem. This is tool steel and totally will rust under the right conditions. So I need to grab a Scotch-Brite pad or a scouring pad of some sort and try to knock some of this physical rust off. Unfortunately, in my case, I was only able to find the worst sponge ever made, but this is okay. I'll try to do what I can, but realistically, be careful and do not use anything too abrasive. We don't want to cause any damage to the rails themselves. Also, take this time to use a clean rag, wipe these rails off of any chips or debris, and be wary of using compressed air. This can actually force chips through and past the bearing seals into your bearings themselves, worsening the problem overall. Now that everything is a bit cleaner, I'm going to start by oiling my X-axis bearings and rails. These don't have an oil port, so I'm going to add a few drops of this oil to the groove that these bearings ride on. I'm going to do this on the top and the bottom, and I'm going to do this on both sides of the carriage. Once that has a few, maybe 4 to 6 drops, I'm going to go ahead and take the carriage and run it all the way from end stop to end stop about 20 to 30 times, just to make sure it's really worked in there. I'll go ahead and stop and just kind of add a little bit more to those grooves every now and again, just to make sure that it's really working into those bearings. Also, PSA, please stop taking your bearings off the rails. If they are totally stuck, just shoot us an email. Give us a call. We'll be happy to help you, but leave those things right where they are. Again, for you Shapeoko Pro users, remember that you have single linear rails on your Y-axis as well, so don't forget those. Same thing applies, just a little bit of oil in that groove, front and back, and then slide those puppies back and forth through it. So on our Z, we have HG15 linear rail bearings. These have an oil port in the center, a little different from X and Y, so we'll need to remove the oil port screw itself, inject a few milliliters of oil into the bearing block directly, and then replace that screw. This will be the same procedure on all axes of your Shapeoko 5 Pro and all iterations of our Z Plus and HDZs. Keep in mind your Z-axis has 4 bearing blocks. I'm showing you how to do the top 2, but the same method applies to the bottom 2. You should be able to reach that center oil port screw without any disassembly of your machine. Now, onto our lead screw. I'm going to squeeze out a little bit of Super Lube onto this decrepit old glove, and then kind of just spread that around on the lead screw itself. A little bit of this stuff does go a long way, and to be fair, the hardware on that Z plate will probably squeegee most of that oil away as well and grease, so wipe away any excess whenever you see it. Okay, we're going to take a little detour because often I'm on a support call and I see some very questionable belts. I have a Shapeoko Pro universal belt clip here. The 4 might look a little bit different, but take this belt clip. We're going to go ahead and think of the hole farthest away from the screw hole is hole 1, one closest is hole 2. Now, with the smooth side facing up, we're going to go ahead and it's going to go from underneath and up through hole 1. It's going to then go down and down into hole 2. Now the belt will kind of double up on itself, allowing those ridges to lock into place. Lastly, make sure your belt is taut and your belt clip is about 3 millimeters away from the plate itself. You can then use that screw to tension that belt clip flush to the end plate. And that's it for me. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to email us over at support@carbide3d.com. Or if you have any questions you want answered in a future video, feel free to comment on this video. All of our most highly liked comments will probably get more attention, so go out there and interact with your fellow makers. Thanks. Have a good one.